everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to Creative Grandma's Kitchen. I want to welcome you into my home and into my kitchen, and today I have a popular recipe for banana bread. How many times do we buy those bananas and they lay on the counter until they start turning brown? Well, the best thing to do with those really ripe bananas is to make a banana bread. So today I'm going to show you the simple ingredients needed to make this recipe. So let's get started. For this recipe, you only need 9 ingredients, and they're very basic ingredients that you usually have right in your kitchen. We're going to start with 1 cup of sugar, 1 stick of butter, and it doesn't matter if it's salted or unsalted. You just want to make sure that your butter is soft. 2 large eggs. I'm using 4 bananas. Now, these bananas aren't ripe enough, but when I went to the grocery store, they had no overly ripe bananas. So these are probably small to medium size. So if you're using great big giant bananas, then I'd probably only use 3. 1 tablespoon of milk, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And finally, you're going to need 1 loaf pan and a little bit of cooking spray because I like to lightly grease my pan. So now let's get started and let's make our delicious banana bread. So the first thing I'm going to do before I start mixing any of my ingredients is I'm going to smash up my bananas and mash them up. Now, I was afraid to use my mixer because I didn't want you to see bananas flying through the air in my kitchen. So I'm just peeling them and I'm slicing them into the bowl. And the sad thing is, I thought I had an old-fashioned potato masher and I don't have one in my house. So I have to put that on my list of things to get next time I go to the store. So now, since I have all my bananas sliced up, I'm going to improvise and I'm going to use my pastry cutter since I don't have a masher. So I'm just going to go ahead and really cut these up and try to mash them down. So now I'm just going to take a fork since they're pretty well mashed up, and I'm just going to use my fork and really try to smash them down a little bit more. So now, since my bananas are pretty well smashed and mashed up, let's go ahead and start mixing our dough for our bread. So the first thing we're going to do is take our softened butter, now make sure it's soft, add it to our mixing bowl. I'm going to add my 1 cup of sugar, and we're going to cream that together. So now, since that's blended together, we're going to add our eggs 1 egg at a time. So I like to break my eggs 1 at a time in a bowl before I put it in my mixing bowl, just to make sure there's no blood or anything in that egg I don't want in my batter. So there's 1, and then we're going to mix that up. So when you look at your batter, you're going to notice it's getting really creamy. So now we're going to add our 2nd egg, and then we're going to blend that up. So now you can see it has an even creamier consistency. And now we're going to go ahead and add our mashed up bananas. And then the mixer also will help mash that up just a little bit more. And I'm also going to add my milk. And that is 1 tablespoon of milk. So let's blend that together. So our mixture is all blended. It really smashed up those bananas a little bit more. And now I'm going to add all my spices. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. So now I'm getting ready to put my flour in. Now when I do a bread dough or something like this, I always add my flour a little at a time. So I'm just going to add one big hoop. So I just add like one big spoonful of flour at a time and just mix it up slow and gradually. Going to keep adding my flour until all the flour has been incorporated into our dough. Now I'm just going to take a spatula, clean the sides of my bowls, make sure that's all blended, get all the side flour back down in your mix, and then we're just going to mix it for another minute or two. So now since I took it off the mixer, I still like to take my spatula and just make sure that there's no flour or anything on the bottom of the bowl. Now if you like nuts in your banana bread, then this is the perfect time. Go ahead and put those nuts in your batter before you put it in the pan. So I'm just going to lightly spray my loaf pan. And then I'm going to add my batter into the pan. And make sure you try to get as much as you can out of that bowl. That looks pretty good. And then you're just going to spread it across your pan. Make sure you get in the corners good. So now we're going to go over and put it in a preheated 325-degree oven for 1 hour. So sometimes it's nice to set those timers so if you get busy, you don't forget and burn your bread. So let's get this popped in the oven. And yes, if you noticed, I did not oil my oven door yet. And I'll be back in an hour and show you our finished banana bread. So our hour is up. I'm going to reach in here and grab my banana bread. Oh, it looks so delicious. Can you see that? So let's bring it over here. I'm going to let it cool for a little bit, and then we're going to slice this baby up and have a nice bite. So my banana bread is done, and I love that end piece. So I'm just going to cut a small piece off. I'm eating a very little piece because it's right before supper time, and I have my chicken and dumplings to eat, so I'm just going to pull a piece out of there. So now I'm just going to flip that right out of the bread pan and put it on my plate. Try not to make too big of a mess. And I'm not even waiting. I'm just going to take a bite of this. It just smells so good. Oh, this is so delicious. It reminds me of when I was younger and my mom used to make it. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial on how to make banana bread. So if you like today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the cooking fun. See you next time in the kitchen.